Not to plug anything. Hey y'all, Nerdy Girl Reviews is back, and we are back with a movie review for Little Fish. Currently available via IFC Center. You can stream it on their site or on video on demand. So stay tuned for my recap, and yeah, we're about to get into this. Stay tuned. Also, if you would like to see my full recap, you can find me on YouTube, link in bio, or you can also catch my other reviews on sofitoforyoursoul.com. Stay tuned. What can be said? This is our current life. I'm gonna remove this. But this is our life currently. It's getting better. It's a glimmer of hope, much like you see in the film. But I don't want to bring down my channel and make it seem like, because most of my videos have been fun and joyful, because I try to keep it positive. I think that's where my initial initiative for this channel was to keep a positivity on my channel, to think, bring good vibes, and to stay optimistic. And though this movie isn't bogged down by the pandemic, it's still very eerily similar to the life that we are leading now. And I don't think that the director, the writer, creator for this particular film had any idea what we would be all in, living in, a year after they shot the film. So yeah, Little Fish, that is directed by Chad Hartigan. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. The film, it's a lovely story, a love letter to this couple that I believe they were kismet. They were kindred souls, and they were bound to meet regardless. But the way their relationship goes pretty steadfast, and they marry quickly because they just are each other's mates. But then unfortunately, there's the storyline changes and shifts, and it goes from your average romantic story to a very tragic one, and a very delicate one. It puts things into perspective of how vulnerable we are, as humans, and that anything can tilt the spectrum, in the sense that what you thought was guaranteed isn't, and how also health can play a big role also into a relationship. I mean, these are the vows that you take, right, when you're marrying someone, for sickness, or in health and in sickness, right? So we see a perspective here that is refreshing, as opposed to all the other movies that it's being compared to. Memento, the famous Memento, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, all these relationship infused indie films. What's another one? The Science of Sleep, which is also another favorite of mine. Director Michael Gondry, I believe. But nonetheless, and even Garden State, had kind of that feel. Obviously not in a pandemic, but that's the spin here. It's a pandemic that drives a wedge between them. And seeing the similarities between what we are going through and what the couple endures, and especially the twist here is that we see the perspective of the caretaker, you know, who is madly in love. You know, our main protagonists are Jude and Emma, played by Olivia Cooke and Jack O'Connell. You know, they're madly in love until, like, there's instances where Jude starts to lose his memory. And that's the pandemic that is prevalent in this film. It's their pandemic is titled NIA, neuroinflammatory affliction, and it's almost like an advanced Alzheimer's, you know, and it doesn't necessarily discriminate. It's not, you know, attached to old age. You know, anybody can get it. And then the first sign that something is wrong is when Jude being a photographer, he's finding himself dependent on his pictures. And it just tells you, you know, our memories are also very much tied to pictures, but he feels he's compelled to having to write, you know, the name of his wife on certain pictures and friends and family so he can remember. And you start to see his memories deteriorate, and that's what's the heartbreaking part, because here she is, that feeling helpless as she can't do anything. And unfortunately, that's how a lot of us have been feeling during our own pandemic, you know. And I don't want to go too much into it because I again, seriously do not want to bog down this clip. This movie is extraordinary in the sense of its tenderness and its vulnerability. The one character that is seen the most afflicted from this particular virus is Ben, who is you know, an endearing friend to Jack, played by Raúl Castillo. And you know, here he is, somebody who's also married. His partner is Samantha, played by Soko, and they're musicians in the film. And they've been playing for, I don't know, for however long, 10 plus years. And then before you know it, he can't play his bass anymore. He can't play his instrument. He doesn't recognize his wife. It's so heartbreaking because, again, you know, one thing, I believe there's a phrase, and I'm paraphrasing here because I saw the film a while back, but how do you help someone in that setting when everybody's kind of going through the same, you know, feeling of helplessness? Everybody's in the same boat. So there are those elements, and you know, you feel for the couple. Towards the end, I even believe that Olivia may be afflicted towards the end, and somehow they are still able to connect. So even though that now they're both afflicted, they still recognize each other. So I don't know if that says anything about kindred spirits. Ben and Samantha's character are heartbreaking because unfortunately Ben loses complete memory, and even though it gets to the point where people have to do memory tattoos just to remember where they live and their partner, and Ben has done everything in his power to remember his wife, and he turns homicidal almost, and that's the most heartbreaking scene I think I saw throughout the entire film, because you can see his desperation and not wanting to be afflicted, which, you know, you can sympathize or empathize in the sense of how many people that we know who are elderly and, you know, pray that they wouldn't be afflicted, that their memories would be wiped out, and they would essentially not remember who they are. So it's heartbreaking, it really is. And there are moments where you're gonna need your handkerchief, your face is gonna puff up from the waterworks that you're gonna endure while you're watching this, and the eeriness of how it relates to what we are still currently in. The bright side is that there is a vaccine, and in the movie there is some form of dealing with it. I won't get into the specifics of it, you must see it. but it's a little brutal. Well, not even little, it's a lot brutal. But the one thing I will say is that also what we see in the film and we see in real life is all these naysayers. These, again, I don't want to get into any political stance on this channel, but the rebellious and recklessness of constantly pushing that we do not need, a government pushed vaccine, this mistrust for the government. And again, I get it. People are going to have their points of views. Again, I'm not going to say either or, but it's scary how that rebelliousness, even in fiction, exists, and we're constantly seeing it, even in our current circumstance, possibly putting people's lives at risk for information that you don't 100% understand, or even have factual statistics to back it up, and instead of us finding a solution so we can get back to a sense of normal life, is this rebellious stance that I'm just not gonna, for whatever reason. So you see it in the film, and it honestly is heartbreaking because it's what we are dealing with currently. So I really enjoyed it. It's definitely one of those great films to watch, especially on a nice cold rainy day. It kind of clicks for most film buffs like myself. Yeah, it has instances of those kind of films, Eternal Sunshine, but not really, because it's heartbreaking here, and it's not that it's not heartbreaking for that film either, but I don't know, it's a contemporary spin to it, I would say. So I recommend it. Like I said, it's available via IFC and video on demand. So if you have YouTube, you can, charge it and see it. And it's a really great watch. Whether you're single, whether you're coupled up, if you just want to see a film that really puts things into perspective and mirrors what we are living, yeah, give it a watch. I'm interested in seeing a few more films that will be coming out soon. And I want to say that, I've been following Raúl's career for a while now, and I want to say he's one of those characters that, like, again, there's a lot of vulnerability behind those eyes, and the way he emotes, which is great, because again, like I said, we need more Latino representation in the industry, and I'm excited because he has a number of films that will be coming out. So I always represent my Latinos. He has Army of the Dead that will be coming out on Netflix, I believe, in May. And another film with the same director, Chad Hartigan. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, please correct me. I think it's called Mother Android. But again, don't quote me. Stay tuned for more reviews. I will be reviewing a few more shows that I've caught on HBO that I'm excited to review. So please stay tuned and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this recap, and stay tuned for more. Besitos. XOXO, Nerdy Girl.